Hiya, I hope you're keeping well and had a lovely weekend. Today I'm going to go through some tips to prevent your makeup from sitting in fine lines and just make it feel and look really healthy through the day. As always, everything I mention is listed in the description of the video, so if you click to make the video full screen, the title will come up along the top, click the arrow next to it and a full list of products will drop down. Recently I've had a few new people join the page here, so I just thought I'd quickly reintroduce myself. I'm Rose, I've been a makeup artist for over 10 years, and even though on this page I'm always working on my own face, I recommend things based on experience of doing lots of different people's makeup. Also, one of my favourite things to do on here is I always say, like, what would you like to see a video on? And then I'll make almost a video reply to the questions. And something that's come up a lot recently is, would I do a makeup tutorial for mature skin? Now, there's a really deliberate reason why there's nothing like that on this page. And that is that I personally don't believe in any of those kinds of rules. And I feel like for years, there's been these myths of you can't wear this past a certain age, you can't wear that. And I don't believe in any of those things. Because let's just say if I called this video makeup tips for mature skin, it kind of insinuates that the other videos aren't for you if you have mature skin. And that's the last thing I would ever want to do. But by the same merit, something that I think regardless of age we all want to achieve is preventing our makeup from sitting in fine lines. So I'm going to go through some ways that you can prevent that from happening. And in terms of your makeup, please just take inspiration from any one of the videos that are already here. At the crux of it, I really think that when your makeup sits in fine lines, it can be one of two things. First of all, maybe there is a lot of product on the skin, so it's naturally going to gather. And second of all, to an extent, it will always sit there eventually because our skin is warm and your makeup is designed to move around. So what we want to do is give you the kind of flawless finish that you want from your makeup and set it in a way that it will last for as long as possible. So to begin, your skincare prep is just as important as your makeup itself. Not only is great skincare going to mean that your makeup lasts and sits really well, but it can also do a lot of the work for you so that you don't need to wear as much of your products. So for example, if you've got an oily skin and you've got a really mattifying foundation to try and balance that out, if we put some kind of oil-free skincare on your skin before we go anywhere near your foundation, that could end up doing the heavy lifting for you, and then you can wear less foundation and then you've got less product on the skin to gather in those lines. Regardless of skin type, an ingredient I think everyone will benefit from in their skincare routine is hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is an ingredient that's in lots of different skincare steps, and it's designed to retain moisture. It can hold up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. And what that means for you and your makeup is if your skin is hydrated, you're less likely to see dryness in the skin, you're less likely to see dry patches or clumping. And I always think of it that if your skin is thirsty, it's going to absorb moisture from wherever it can. One of those places could be your foundation, and that can end up looking patchy. So if you put the moisture in instead, it's going to leave your foundation alone. Now, another thing with hyaluronic acid, in particular if you use it in a serum, is that too much of it can potentially mean that your makeup starts to peel. So we just want a nice, soft little dose of it, 1 or 2 drops of a serum, or even better, you could get it in a mist form. Perfect timing this week. Caroline Hirons has brought out a hyaluronic acid mist with struvectin. And ultimately, this is the perfect way to slot your hyaluronic acid into your routine because it's a really fine mist. I mean, I've put it over my makeup there and it's not going to disrupt anything in any way. Oh, thrown it across the thing. But you're getting that moisture in there. And just for the record, that one, all of the proceeds are going towards the Beauty Back charity that she set up during the pandemic to support people working in the beauty industry. So if you do want to slot in a hyaluronic acid one, that's a lovely one to get. Then in terms of a few other recommendations, if your skin feels dry, I'd just go for a really traditional, creamy, rich moisturiser. I work with It Cosmetics as their UK and Ireland ambassador, powder, so I do have a good few It Cosmetics recommendations in this video. As much as I always mix things up and show you lots of different things, I am their ambassador for good reason. I really do love and rate everything from It. You can see that this is very well loved. Confidence in a Cream is a perfect example of something that's going to be lovely under your makeup, because you have things like ceramides in here, collagen, hyaluronic acid, so it feels really buttery and your makeup will glide over it really beautifully. If you like the sound of that buttery texture but you also feel like you've got a bit of dullness to the skin, you might like Bobbi Brown Illuminating Moisture Balm. I've had that in my kit for I don't know how long, but Bobbi Brown always tend to bring out variations of this. This is slightly different. You've got this really kind of peachy, luminizing shimmer through. So even though it's a moisturizing balm, it's going to add lots of glow. And again, that's the kind of thing, it's infused into your skincare step, so you're not adding heavy glitters or shimmers that would potentially look a bit more noticeable on fine lines. Or on the flip side, if this is your worst nightmare because you need to take down texture and noticeable areas, the Murad Oil and Pore Control Mattifyer is fantastic if you want to reduce the appearance of pores. You can put this on under your foundation, and again, it's so good at reducing that texture and kind of, as the name would suggest, controlling oil. You're not then having to put as much powder on through the day. A lovely high street variation of that would be the Maybelline Baby Skin. And actually, if I were to give you a high street version of that Bobbi Brown shimmery balm, it's not a balm as such, but Peaches and Cream do a lovely silky illuminator that, again, that's only a few pounds, and you could put that on under your foundation to let the radiance show through. Next up, I want you to think about your foundation and your concealer. And ultimately, I know this sounds really obvious, but I don't want you to put everything everywhere. If you have a little look a few videos back, I followed this technique that Lisa Eldridge has set out called the patchwork skin technique. And rather than putting every single step in her routine everywhere, she might just put, for example, foundation here and here, a bit of concealer here and here, a touch of brightening corrector there. It's a really she describes it as being like a patchwork quilt, and you put what you need where you need it, and then you don't have lots of layers in every single place. It's a really good way to think about your foundation and concealer, that we want things that are going to be nice and pigmented and give you the finish that you want without having really thick layers of things that's going to gather in those fine lines. Now, it's totally up to you if you prefer more of a radiant finish or more of a velvety matte finish. If you want some suggestions of radiant foundations that I think are lovely, a few that I think are great for avoiding the fine lines element. You know, I was going to say the It Cosmetics CC cream. That really would be my number one pick. You can go to any counter to get a sample of that. The MAC Face and Body, again, you can go to a counter and get a sample. This is a much sheerer coverage, but it is so lightweight and fresh. It just adds kind of a satin finish to the skin, and it's a very versatile one. And then on the high street, the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation. This is really quite a generous coverage, but this is another example of something that's really light reflecting and will add that kind of instant youth to the skin. Depending on the instructions with your individual product, because some products work better with brushes, some work better with hands. Where possible, I love using hands for this kind of thing, because you can really massage that into the skin, pat it in where necessary, and make sure that you've brushed your product into any areas of texture and given a really even finish. And then once you've done that, soon afterwards, I personally would always recommend that you set with a translucent powder. Lots of different people use powders, but something really silky will help to lock it into place and just help to seal it in that bit longer. If you don't like the idea of using a powder, you could also use a makeup setting spray. As an alternative, if you don't like the thought of powder, Mally has this kind of gel-like putty. It's a bit of a dull day today, so I'll show you on a brighter day so I can show you really up close. That is something that will sit on the skin and blur over any kind of texture or oil without adding layers of powder. It's really unusual. I've not tried anything else like it, but if you want an alternative to those kinds of things, that is something I'd definitely point you in the direction of. And then one last tip that I think can be absolutely transformative when it comes to your eye makeup is, if possible, switch to using a tubing mascara. If the skin around your eyes has dropped, or you've got a naturally more hooded eye shape and the lashes are touching the skin on the eyes that bit more frequently, tubing mascara works in a different way than traditional mascaras because it coats the lashes in like a rubbery polymer that won't spill or rub or stain, and so if it presses on the skin, you're not going to get smudges. The Clinique Lash Power is fantastic for this, and they're also really easy to remove with warm water, but if that's an area that you're noticing things are not sticking where you want them to, moving to tubing is going to be a really good tip. I love the Victoria Beckham Future Lash Mascara. On the high street, whenever I mention tubing mascaras, people always tell me that the L'Oreal Paris one is brilliant. I've not tried it yet, but that's one that comes really highly recommended. And then another thing I'd just ask you to consider is lighting can be really important when you're getting into every little nook and cranny and making sure that you feel really happy with your makeup. I've been using this case from Beautifact since before Christmas. I'm going to put a video up here so that you can see how it works. It's a lovely kind of case for your makeup with a mirror and different lighting settings, and it's an investment and it's not the cheapest, and I actually purposefully didn't mention it before Christmas because I feel like there's so much pressure to buy things before Christmas anyway, and then here would be me parading on with this thing that is really quite an investment, and you know, it's not something that you should just impulse go out and get. But if you are someone that wants to really make sure that you're noticing every detail of your makeup, I actually really love it. I think as well, at different days and times of day, the makeup in your house can be really different. And I like the thought that you can put all your makeup in this case rather than grabbing all of your bits and pieces and trying to find a nicer spot. You can literally just transport everything to the bathroom or your bedroom or your kitchen, wherever you're getting ready. And the lighting is really great and it makes a really big difference whether you're doing your makeup or, to be honest, half the time I'm doing my eyebrows or something in there. It is fantastic. And then two last things I would say. So as I mentioned, like, I never want to say this is a tutorial for mature skin or inflict any rules that you should or shouldn't be wearing something because of being a certain age. And a few content creators that I think do a brilliant job of this are people like Kim Spader. Now, to the contrary, Kim often says this is how something sits on my mature skin, or that's how she'll position all of her videos. But what I love about Kim is she's not saying anything about what you should or shouldn't be wearing. She's just giving you the perspective. So she's fantastic. Julia Rosemond is brilliant for really quick tips. Both of those are ladies I found on TikTok. Ruby Hammer is just fantastic for... Ruby's a really great one, I would say, for really perfecting your complexion, and she's another one that seems to use small amounts of things but still get these beautiful results. Ali Martin, fantastic. She, like, not in a negative way, like, I think if you want to have some Botox or filler, whatever you're having, good for you and go for it. Ali's videos, she just likes to mention that she hasn't had any of those things, and if you're someone that hasn't had those things and you want to, I don't know, give the illusion of a plumper lip or give the illusion of a lifted cheekbone, she can help you to achieve that with makeup. And Bobbi Brown has just joined TikTok, and honestly, like, these quick get ready videos are so brilliant. She's only put a few up and literally, like, TikTok has exploded. We're all loving it. But these are the kinds of places that I think you're going to get really great advice. Another two, well, God, I'll go on for... The more names I give, the worse it's going to be if I don't mention someone. But like Caroline Barnes' YouTube videos are fantastic. Funnily enough, I had this video in my head for a few days because I'd had a few comments in the week about mature skin, and then I saw Hannah Martin put a video up like, I never do mature skin because I think we can all wear what we want. It was like the exact same sentiment as this, but she's just put some lovely videos up as well. But the more names I give you, I'm going to feel guilty if I forget someone, so I'm going to leave the recommendations at that. But yeah, if you take one thing away from this, like, just enjoy absolutely everything. And one thing that I would recommend, whatever your age, find a few people that have similar face features to you, so that you've got this like instant inspo of what it will look like on you. I think sometimes, like, if you see someone in a film and you try and do their makeup and then you do it and you're like, oh, it's not the same as me because I've got a different face shape, or their eyes are brown and mine are blue, whatever it would be. If you've got a couple of people that look quite similar to you, you'll literally see the look go on and hit the ground running. So that would be a really big one I'd suggest too. I really hope that was helpful. Let me know if I can go into any more detail about anything for you. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Keep any questions coming. I love hearing them, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.